Hello everybody, welcome to Tpull's Corner. This is Travis and we're in the starter decks. We're going through the Premades that Wizards of the Coast dropped on us. They dropped 10 different decks. We're going to look at Crack the Case. This is from MKM, right? Murders at Karlov Manor. Yeah, let's go see what we got. We have 28 creatures, so definitely a creature heavy deck. Only one instant and one sorcery and 6 artifacts. 1 enchantment, 25 lands. Okay, so out of the artifacts that we have, here's an agency outfitter. For 6, you get a flying 4/3, which doesn't sound great, but you can search your graveyard, hand, and or library for a card named Magnifying Glass and or a card named Thinking Cap. So we've got them here. Magnifying Glass, normally you have to pay 3 to get down, and you spend 4 to create a clue token. And then Thinking Cap, you can equip on a detective for only 1 mana and get a +1/+2 on anything you want. This is basically a detective tribal deck because everybody and their dog or everybody and their gargoyle is somehow a detective in this particular expansion. They kind of jumped the shark with that kind of theme, but whatever. So even if you already have one Thinking Cap out and a Magnifying Glass out, you could go get the other 2 artifacts that are in your deck. Maybe they got destroyed, you could still get them from your graveyard. So that would save you from having to spend 3-4 mana to get those out separately. So is that worth the cost? We'll find out. We've also got 2 Hotshot Investigators for our more expensive cards. 4 4s for 6 mana. When they enter the battlefield, you return up to 1 other target creature to its owner's hand. If you control the creature, you get to investigate. If not, you're just bouncing one of their creatures. The next thing we have is Ezram, Agency Chief, Legendary Archon Detective, 5/5 with flying, gets to investigate twice when it enters the battlefield, so that's kind of cool. You can sacrifice an artifact for only 1 mana and give Ezram your choice of Vigilance, Lifelink, or Hexproof until end of turn. Hexproof is really good just to keep him alive, and if you have 3 mana and 3 artifacts, you could actually activate them and give him all 3 of those. Or keep in mind, if they try and do something where they try and kill it once, you could sacrifice an artifact, give him hexproof. If they try and do another instant removal on him and you have another mana, you could sacrifice another artifact and give him hexproof twice, and it just becomes a timing thing. But there are ways to trick this out so that you can keep him around, even if your opponent tries to get smart and does double removal with instants on the same turn. If you're aware of that possibility, maybe you keeping the right number of artifacts and the right number of mana open just to protect Ezram. Going down the mana curve, we have 2 Griffknot Trackers. When it enters the battlefield, exile up to 2 target cards from a single graveyard. I have strategically used this and gotten rid of a couple of things my opponent could get back from their graveyard, so it worked out for me. We have 1 board wipe, no witnesses. Each player controls the most creatures, investigates, then you destroy all creatures. This is basically the only removal we have in the entire deck, but you know, if it comes up, it's awesome if you need it. Cold Case Cracker, 3/3 with flying. When it dies, you investigate. And 2 Granite Witnesses. This is the disguise mechanic, so like Ward, but you have a Ward, or sorry, like Morph, but with Ward 2 is what disguise is. So you pay 3, it comes up as a face down creature that's 2/2 with Ward 2, and then you pay the disguise cost, which here is hybrid mana, so it could be any combination. 2 white, 2 blue, 1 blue and 1 white. But you turn it face up, and you could tap or untap another target creature. I guess you could, it doesn't say another target creature. You could tap or untap the Gargoyle Detective itself if you wanted to for some reason. Okay, Magnifying Glass. I have playtested this deck, and there are times when it's a boring board state, so to speak, and everybody's flooding out with lands, so you're just using this as a mana sink. Private Eye is kind of what makes this a detective tribal deck, right? Other detectives get +1/+1. Whenever you draw your second card each turn, target detective can't be blocked this turn. So you can, since everybody's a detective, you can make any one creature that you want unblockable. And there are a number of ways to draw cards in this deck, so you can get a second one. Speaking of which, 1 copy of Alchemist Profmaster Sleuth, which might be my favorite card in the entire expansion, just because it's a 3/3 with Vigilance. It investigates when it enters the battlefield. And for X, white, blue, blue, you can sacrifice a clue and draw X cards and X life. So it makes for a really good draw spell, again, if you can keep it alive. Let's see. Steam Core Scholar, a weird detective. Flying Vigilance 2/2. When it enters, you draw 2 cards, then discard 2 unless you discard an instant or sorcery card or a creature with flying. So lots of card types there that you can discard just one. You know, if you've got way too many lands, you can discard a couple of lands, I guess, without worrying about it. If you need your lands, then maybe you discard one of the flying creatures. We've got plenty. Projector Inspector. Whenever the Inspector or another detective enters the battlefield under your control, and whenever a detective you control is turned face up, which, you know, would work for one of the 2 Granite Witnesses, you may draw a card. If you do, you discard a card. So there is that... but, you know, it's better than red, white, because you get to draw the card first and choose what you're going to discard. So it's still better than rummaging. Another card I like, Forensic Gadgeteer. Whenever you cast an artifact spell, investigate. Now, we only have 6 artifact spells, so that doesn't seem like it's enough for me. This is one of the problems. This card probably does not belong in this particular deck. I can see building an artifact deck around this card and having this in it. But activated abilities of artifacts you control cost 1 less to activate. This means that all your clues, if you get 4, 5, 6 clues during the game, instead of having to spend 2 mana to sacrifice the artifact to draw a card, those go down to 1. So all of your artifact clues would just cost 1 to activate. So that's kind of cool. That does tie in with the deck a little bit. We have Officious Interrogation. Costs 1 white and 1 blue more to cast for each target beyond the first. So it's a card that was constructed for use in commander decks. Choose any number of target players. Investigate X times, where X is the total number of creatures those players control. So basically, in this kind of environment, you can target yourself and your opponent. So it's going to cost 4 mana, and you can investigate and get 4 clues. So this is kind of, the whole deck is kind of built around, you need to have enough time to use your clues and build up your clues. Prophesy Eidetic Memory. I love getting this on turn 2. Legendary enchantment. When it enters the battlefield, you draw a card so it replaces itself, and you have no maximum hand size, which I love on all my cards. So whenever I get this, I love it. At the beginning of combat on your turn, if you've drawn more than 1 card this turn, put X +1/+1 counters on target creature you control, where X is the number of cards you've drawn this turn -1. So they do that -1 because they want to discount the first card that you draw. If you draw 2 cards, you're going to get a +1/+1 counter on a target creature. If you draw 3 cards, you're going to get +2/+2. A card I would probably cut at least 1 copy of, but Jaded Analyst, a 3/2 Defender. Whenever you draw your second card each turn, loses Defender and gains Vigilance until end of turn. One of the Unyielding Gatekeeper. This is the other disguised card. When it's turned face up, exile another target non-land permanent. If you controlled it, return it to the battlefield tapped. Otherwise, its controller creates a 2/2 white and blue detective creature token. I like to have this out to help protect Ezram sometimes, that kind of thing. Let's see. Seasoned Consultant, 2 of these detectives. 1/3 whenever you attack with 3 or more creatures, it gets +2. So you're paying 2 for what could maybe be a 3/3 later. And Perimeter Enforcer. Whenever another detective enters the battlefield under your control, and whenever a detective you control is turned face up, Perimeter Enforcer gets +1/+1 till end of turn. So you could maybe have this guy ready to go and ready to attack. You bring one onto the battlefield, make him a 2/2 lifelinker with flying, and then maybe you already have another disguised creature on the board that you turn face up, and suddenly it's a 3/3. So depending on how much mana you have available, maybe you could surprise your opponent with this one. And then besides the Thinking Cap, we have 3 copies of Novice Inspector, which can investigate. It's great to have these on turn 1. It's almost never good to have them any other turn. It's maybe slightly better than a land if you have enough land. But that is the deck. This is what Wizards gave us. Let's go ahead and go right into it. Welcome all new people. Remember to like and subscribe. We're going to go through all 10 of the pre-made decks. We did the Ancient Discovery one last time. This is the second pre-made. I like this one better than the first one. This deck is already suffering from some of the problems of the first one in that it doesn't seem to be quite as much interaction, but it's kind of designed so that you're not worried about that as much. Zombies. That could be a problem for us. Let's go ahead and put down the Jaded Analyst, and we will equip the Consultant. So it's a 2/5. We still can't get past the 1/3, which gives them time. Uh-oh. It's not a zombie deck. It's going to be a defender deck, which means they're going to try and attack with a bunch of defenders before too much longer. Let's go ahead and put the flyer down. And let's switch this to the flyer. It's going to be a pain to get through all these on the ground. They've got 3 colors. Okay, Bedrock Tortoise. Creatures have hexproof. Each creature you control with toughness greater than its power assigns combat equal to its toughness rather than its power. So that becomes a 3/3 and that becomes a 2/2. Let's go ahead. We don't have to worry about that yet. Let's bring this down and investigate. We trigger our lifelinker. We will attack with what we got. Over their head while they're tapped out. If they're going to attack us with a 6/6, we might really need that lifelink. Pride of Hullclade. So this is the whole combo basically. For 4 mana until end of turn, target creature gains +1. Whenever it does damage, draw cards equal to its toughness and can attack as though it didn't have defender. So if that's toughness is going to be 15, you can see during combat it's a 15/15 creature that can draw 15 cards. Let's see. Is there anything we can do against it? We can't bounce it. So we're almost dead already. Yeah. All I can do is add the counter and hit him for 3. And then I'm going to be chump blocking the 15/15 creature. I missed a land drop. Opponent did not. There goes my flyer. I guess I can activate this. That was the only hope that I had. There's my land. Now we're just going to take the 6 points. We'll go back down to 20. What can we do? We can bring down another flyer. And we can give it a thinking cap, so it's tougher. No attacks. And now they're digging. Like, you can't do enough with a 15/15. There you go. Okay, it does not have trample. So we should be able to chump block. Woohoo! Okay, this is kind of cool. Get rid of the 15/15. You can just recast it next turn. Then we attack with you. Get him down to 10. Is that enough of a tempo that we can close this out? They bring that puppy back down. Search for another creature card. Do they have a creature in here that has reach? They do. That can make me discard stuff. That's not what I wanted. I guess I should put down the flyer. I feel like they could have attacked with more. Yeah, we'll go ahead and get rid of both of those just for funsies. And they did not put down the archer, they put down this creature instead. Okay, so we do this, get another chump blocker down. We attack with the 4/5. Yeah, you don't have anybody with reach. They go digging again. Now they can destroy a target creature with flying, but I have 2 flyers now. They can also make me discard this card. Oh, man. They have 2 ways to get rid of flyers at exactly the time when I have 2 flyers? That's a foul. That's a foul. You don't have anything else left. You just so happen to get that done, huh? Alright, let's throw this in here. Draw a card. Yep. It's the same thing as the one we just didn't get. Okay. Lovely. I guess we just play this so that there's nothing for them to discard. We desperately need a flyer. I don't know why it bothers. I don't think it matters for us to do anything with that right now. We're just going to pass the turn. Let's go ahead and put that on... Yeah, that guy. I don't know that it matters. Still attacking with just the 1. Okay, we chump block. Oh, there we go. Now they gain trample. Look at that. 18 cards in their hand. Can they do anything? Loses X life, where it's number 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, they can kill me real quick, can't they? They just need 3 mana. Okay, so if in these cards, they do have to discard, right? But if they got 1 more Massive Might and can gain trample, then they got me. They got me as well there. And all that is... that's not going to be enough. So, what do we do here? We sacrifice a clue and we draw? How much is that? 7. So we can draw 4 cards? Yeah, I guess we do that. No attacks. None of that is really helpful. I mean, we do get a flyer, but we're nearly dead. And now they can just kill us with Blight Pile, right? Yep. Okay, so if I'd gotten my board wipe, maybe that would have worked. Yeah, you can see it was like Arena knew that we were playing Crack the Case because there's only 1 board wipe in the entire deck. The rest of that is not very much in the way of interaction. You saw all we could do was bounce 1 creature once. So that's ideal for a Defender deck to go up against us because the whole point of a Defender is you put down enough Defenders you can withstand any attackers for a while until you build up your winning combination. And that's exactly what they did because they gave us a deck without any interaction. And they got, miraculously, they got just enough to kill all the flyers that we had out at any one particular point in time. What a coincidence. Alright. We try again with the Novice Inspector. It's a good way to build up clues pretty cheaply. And that's all we can do. Opponent's already winning. They can pump up their wolf if they want, or cast a spell. I think we bring this puppy down. That at least keeps it from flipping into night and giving them an even bigger advantage. We're going to somehow need to cast a spell every turn, whereas all they need to do is do nothing just to turn that into a 3/3. Which the werewolf deck is structured nicely because they got a lot of cheap cards that they can use mana sinks. They can just pump activation costs into their cards and flip it. See, there's another one. That's perfect timing for them. They can just spend 4 and then this turns into a 5/5. And we get a Jaded Analyst. You can see how their draws and our draws are not quite working out quite right. Magnifying glass? We cast a spell at least. They're going to get 2 extra creatures in a 5/5 out of this, just by pumping their child of the pack. Which it's a nice little curve here, you know, 1, 2, 4. Not too shabby. Oh, they cast a spell. How about that? I guess we're taking that. That's a lot to take. Okay, let's try this. And we'll go ahead and search the library. And we'll get one of you and one of you. We got them out. This is one of our more powerful cards. We got it done.
Feel your hair standing on end? Our hunt draws near.
They can't really attack this turn. They can +1 it or +2. +1. They could -3 and create the wolves now, which is what I would do because they know I've got the 4/3 flyer and they can't stop it. No, they plus it up instead?
The darkness won't hide our
that?
enemies from us.
Why would they do that when I can equip this for 1 and go get them? It seems like a waste of a planeswalker.
Back to the woods.
In the meantime, think we're done. Now they're looking at doing this. What are the rest of these cards? Is it all expensive stuff? Or were they just waiting till they only had 1 card so that I'd find it hard to flip it back from day to night? Oh yeah. Yeah, attack me with Child of the Pack. Please do. Yeah, maybe they have a trick. Well, we'll try it anyway. I don't think this is going to do me much good as a 3-2. Let's block there. Let's block everybody. We'll chump block with the Novice Inspector. I feel like they have a trick that can save their child of the pack, so I'm not feeling the greatest about this. Oh, we made them think like they're blue. 1-3, so they save. They don't save child of the pack. Interesting choices. Let's bring down another flyer. We'll go ahead and get rid of a couple of things. And we can bring this down. Or we can sacrifice a clue. I think I want to go see what else is out there. We already cast one spell this turn. Let's do that. And we can go ahead and attack with both of these, so I'm going to. I've got to put some pressure on them. They've got too much of a field already. And they've got more ammo than I do. I wonder why they don't block with that one. Okay. I think we hold on to that for a second. That's kind of a gross thing. Yeah, you can't pump up the Snarling Wolf, so you keep that one back. That makes sense. I think we get rid of this extra mana generation here. That seems like a fair trade to me. You have 1 mana, and it's taken them a long time to make their decision. Okay, so we'll do the Ward 2 to start with, and then we turn it face up. We're going to exile that and just turn it into a 2-2. And in the meantime, we don't have enough to go ahead and do anything like that. If we change this over here, do I have enough to... Let's see, you're not a detective? You're an elephant cleric. Okay, I have just enough to switch. So that's a 4-4. So then I can still afford to attack. And I have a decent blocker. And they don't have anything that's going to trip the day-night thing right now. They are getting land-starved. Tovolar's nice. They could bum rush, right? I only have 1 creature. They could get another card draw. And they do. We get rid of the one they can pump up to a 3-3. Still not getting land. Let's go ahead and investigate. And let's go ahead and draw a card. Okay, that gives us something to actually cast. That prevents Tovolar from flipping into a 4-4. They've finally got a 5th land. What can you do with it? Why are you looking at my planes? Ooh, that makes me think they have removal. have a plummet. Okay. Okay. Still got my 4/4 as a good blocker. But I do need some more ammo. I've drawn 9 lands, so... What are you doing? Do they have a trick? No, you don't. Quit teasing. Just pass the turn already. No way. Are they just gonna, because my health is so low, they're just gonna go for it? We bounce the token. We attack with what we got. Take 4, or do you chump block? They take it. All that land and I still couldn't power up the magnifying glass. Six. Okay, they could have an Avabrook Caretaker now. That would be just the thing that would kill me, right? I'm the one with the blue color. Why are you taking so long?
Speak your purpose, and perhaps we can...
Equal to the number of lands, so they can get a 6/6. Which means I can't bum rush them.
From root to canopy,
And I have to chump block now.
the trees are mighty.
And I can't double block because they can say that I won't be able to block. And all we did was get a land. After all that extra land that I've drawn... And I can't do anything yet. That has reach. I'm barely able to power this up to get a usable spell to prevent it from flipping to night, just in case they have a haste attacker. I need a whole nother extra attacker just to contemplate rushing them. Oh, look at that. Now I need 2 more creatures.
Every seed contains great...
Well, I like that we don't have to worry about Helena and Elena, but now they got a 7/7. And if they want to attack, I have to double block. And they don't. So you come down. And I guess we just keep going. Because if I was going to draw the card, I wouldn't have been able to cast it. An 8/8. I have to triple block. And they can get rid of Ren and 7 and just do another 8/8 creature. I would need another Hotshot Investigators to show up so I could bounce a token. Yeah, called it.
The entire forest is
They
in
get to
awe.
draw another card. I got just 1 too many lands and not enough spells. They got starved at 4 lands for a while, but they're nearly caught up. They've been able to stall me long enough. And this is kind of the problem with this deck, is you get just one good creature and you're just dead in the water. It gives them a lot of time. Yep. That's the right thing to do, I think. They get rid of 2 of my creatures. Oh, hello. Never mind, I have to chump block there, and we kill that one. Huh. What can we get out of this? We're going in for the kill. They'll take out the 4/4, right? We do 3 points of damage. And then we put our thinking cap on somebody, yeah? No, actually, let's just draw another card. Now we can end the turn. I've got 2 chump blockers. And you can't afford to attack me. Did they just give that trample? You've got to be kidding me. Okay, so we blocked the 9. That's 5. Are we still alive? You did that wrong. We're still alive. I should have equipped the thinking cap. That was a mistake. I've got 1 life point left. And that's not an instant. They can draw a card. They could sacrifice this and draw 2 cards and have a couple of mana. But I've got a flyer. They would need something to block a flyer with or to kill a flyer. Don't keep me in suspense. They're keeping us in suspense. If this doesn't solve their problem, they have to draw another card. They didn't draw another card. Are they waiting to see? Do they have something that kills my flyer? And they're just waiting? Let me attack with it. Aha! They didn't have it. One life point. That's why we don't quit. That's why we keep going. Let's do one more. Our board wipe hasn't come up yet. I feel like we kind of got lucky with that. Like they were held at 4 lands for too long. Okay, we could put down the thinking cap. That can deal 2 damage. Let's go ahead and do them a damage now. That way we can put down the consultant in a turn. For each forest you control. Gross. Let's do this then. We will trade off. This is disgusting. They held on to their hard-hitting question. And they plotted an outcast trade... Oh boy, we are in trouble! I guess we're doing that. These are not the greatest cards to have up front, I don't think. Nice. Wow. Yeah, I'm gonna die on turn 5. I mean, this gives me 4? So I could chump block with 1? Except they can just kill it whenever they want. I think we just let them kill us. I mean, we can go one more turn and see if we top deck the board wipe. But Thinking Cap and Magnifying Glass cannot stop this. That is not a board wipe. That would have dealt them a land. Or dealt them a damage from the land. Yeah. That was pretty fast. We'll do one more after this then. You can... I don't really need to explain the drawbacks of this type of deck when you can see it that quickly. There's all sorts of neat, exciting stuff in the format that goes so much faster. There are some synergies that are kind of fun between investigating and detectives. And if you can sacrifice a clue more than once in a game, Profit is kind of fun too. They didn't give me the right color mana. Maybe I was supposed to mulligan that. How many cards? They're keeping me with the same type of color, are they? Are you going to counterspell this? Oh man! It's one of my favorite cards! Oh, and they have the landfall creature right on curve, and all we're getting is only islands. Gee, I wonder how this is going to go. Can't cast that anyway. Why keep it? They have a direct damage spell, I bet. They have the counter spell and the deal damage spell, and they'll have another land. Or no, you have something. What? Why would you trade that off? What are they doing? Counter spell? Okay. I don't think they have ways to bring stuff out of the graveyard. They could. Green does have a way to recover stuff, but I don't think this kind of deck does. Are they really just going to be like... Let's try this one. That one got through. Well, if that one got through, let's do this. Ah, 2 cards down. Negate an Essence Scatter. And you already burned through all your stuff. Well, if they get a single Haughty Djinn, they'd be doing okay already, right? They got 3 instants. That would make it a 3-4. And they could still have 1 mana open to protect it. Not that they need to protect it, because we don't have removal. But it looks like they're digging instead. You're expecting them to throw away a land. They don't. They throw away 2 cards instead, and they play the land they drew. Is that just so you can have... just so you can have a counterspell? Let's burn one of these now. Let's go get some other stuff. And the Forensic Gadgeteer comes in quite nicely. I think we just hold on to that. And we can attack with our defender this turn. And that's 8 points. If we don't get another land, we'll play it and play the Outfitter. They are good at digging, at getting land and ramping with draws, but at some point you need to play a good card. If I can just draw a second card, pretty much got lethal. They didn't miss a land drop though, right? Okay, you need something more than that. I don't think that's enough. Okay, so if we bounce... oh, this is where we just search for stuff, huh? Okay, fine. Then I guess we're actually not attacking with anything this turn. I messed up. I thought the Outfitter was... I thought it was a 6-drop for a second that bounced creatures. That just goes and gets us stuff. There's a flyer. And they can do that once per turn. So this is the point of the deck, is to get her out, and then you can go ahead and ramp your lands and always have a 7 lands up into play, yeah? Okay, let's do this. Counterspell? Do they not want me to get lifelink? We could pay the 4. And then we can still equip the thinking cap. And we can attack for 5 and they'll be half dead. From where they're currently at. Do you chump block with the island? No, you take the 5. If I was willing to trade Proft, but this is kind of the key to all their other defenses, I don't know that they'd be willing to trade. Okay, now you have 2 3/3 flyers. Three 3/3 flyers. They get an army that matches mine already. Hmm. I don't have enough land to do that. Shoot. I feel like I'm running out of time. Plus X and X is trample. Getting to a point where they can do some damage. Okay, now you got a nice flying army. Alright. We attack with those two jokers. It's only one creature that gets trample. We finally got our board wipe. I feel like I should play that just because. Do I? Alright, let's try and block there. We'll take 5. Really? You actually did that. Huh. Math is for blockers. All right, we got it done. I'm not sure that I'm really impressed with the deck, but let's go in and take a look real quick after we find out what card I got. Rictus Robber. I haven't used this card yet. The gears are turning in my head. Okay, let's open this up. We'll crack the case one more time. I'm not sure that I'm really impressed with the magnifying glass and thinking cap, but I do have to admit there were some games where I was able to investigate a lot with this, and it did help me with the card draw. And it's amazing how much a +1/+2 artifact actually did make the difference in a game or two that I played. But we only have one copy of the Agency Outfitter there. Hotshot Investigators, the bouncing is invaluable. Poor Ezram didn't show up. That's too bad. He's kind of cool creature. I didn't really manage to make any impact with Seasoned Consultant, which I did one of my earlier matches when I was playtesting this, but not since and none today. Jaded Analyst, I'm still not completely impressed with, but they do make a good enough chump blocker. I like the Eidetic Memory. I'm not sure about Officious Interrogation. It didn't seem to fit well. Forensic Gadgeteer, I really think belongs in a different deck, but if you're going to have a deck that's heavy on the investigate mechanic, it's not bad to have this card in here. So I think I'm okay at the end of the day with having that in there. Projector Inspector is kind of okay. Steam Core Scholar is turning out to be okay, even though he didn't show up today. And Alquist Prophet, I think, is again the other winner in this deck. And the more often the Private Eyes show up, this is really the tipping point. I think this is one of the keys. But that's kind of like it's one of the it's the Detective Lord, right? That all other detectives get the +1/+1. Griffnot Trackers, I would keep those in there. No Witnesses is awesome if we ever have a case to use it. Cold Case Cracker is kind of an interesting card. I think this is designed for limited. I'm not sure that you would do anything in a regular constructed deck with this normally, but I always want to try. I know there's a lot of... Wizards of the Coast makes a lot of effort to look at the limited formats and to do things with them. But sometimes what makes for a good limited card doesn't really make sense to use in constructed. This is maybe just interesting enough that you might be able to get away with it. Granite Witness could be good on the surprise effect, especially if you just need to tap one extra creature that they're not expecting. So the surprise value for a game-winning turn is kind of cool to have that in there. And of course, Ezram is a nice legendary card that is cool to have too. If I were going to do something like this that was maybe not a detective deck, I would probably keep Prof's Eidetic Memory, Alquist Prof, and Ezram, the three legendary types. And the rest of this will go away, I think. As I did with the last one, if you want to see me take the skeletal structure of this deck and see if I can upgrade it into something that's a little more fun to play, perhaps a little more effective, let me know. Leave a comment. If we have more yeses than nos, then I will consent to doing that. So as usual, we thank our Patreon. We ask you to like and subscribe. Again, leave the comments below if you want me to trick out these pre-constructed decks and show what more we could do with them if we upgraded them just slightly. And with that, we'll wish you a good one, and we'll have something different for you next time. Thanks, everybody.